when we read and pray this psalm, then it feels like we are standing on holy ground. And what does this psalm mean to us? It gives us great insight into the physical suffering, the emotional suffering, the psychological and spiritual suffering that Jesus endured for our sake. We know the loss of relationships that have endured for maybe 50, 60 years, but we cannot imagine the experience of a loss of relationship that has been eternal, where Jesus feels abandoned by the person that he was so connected to, so much more deeply than what we can ever be connected to God or to anyone. And that experience of abandonment and distance, the loss of the Father, the loss of the Father's presence on the cross, must have been an experience of really being engulfed in hell, a deep, very deep darkness and emptiness. And this mystery pushes us to the extremes of our understanding. We don't really comprehend what it means for Jesus to have submitted to the rules of time and space in his incarnation. The all-powerful God has lived on earth in the life of a baby, a child, a teenager, a young man, but then he has also submitted to the rules of death. What we do know is that, as Robert Barron puts it, Jesus came all the way down. He came all the way down as a human. He came even further to death, and then even deeper down to death on a cross, to the absolute limits of God-forsakenness, so that there he can reach everyone. He can reach every single one of us, no matter what depth we think we've come to. He was able to reach the thief on the cross next to him, and his grace is truly for all. So it gives us a greater understanding of the amazing gift of grace that he has given. Our experience of suffering and abandonment will never be as extreme as what Jesus went through, because in his sacrifice, he drank the cup of wrath for us all, and we will never have to do that. But this also means we are never alone in our suffering and grief. Jesus truly understands a level of suffering and grief that we won't even experience. So we know that he is with us in the thick of it. And as we may find ourselves in a time of grief and of confusion and suffering, we can also follow Jesus and David's example of praying honestly, of bringing the whole package to God, bringing all of our emotions and our confusion. We don't have to pretend. And then we can also know that there will be resolution. God will answer. This psalm reminds us that there will be praise in the end. We don't necessarily have a guarantee that our prayers will be answered next week or in a few years. And maybe some of our prayers will only be answered in eternity. But this prayer, this psalm, gives us something to hold on to as we look in faith to the fulfillment of God's promises in Jesus' life and death and resurrection.